Okay, so we have a DT360 Yamaha cover with a deep scratch in it. It's aluminum. We're going to clean this up. First, we start with 150 sandpaper, and I'll show you the results. Okay, so it's short and sweet on the 150 sandpaper. When I sand it, by the way, I go in this direction up and down. I go this way, then I go angular this way and angular this way, so it's non-directional. You want to be careful with your 150. It's for severe issues, and it helps you find all the blums. We've got blums all over this that have been revealed by this sanding process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going a little bit with the 150, and I'm going to take a wire wheel just on a standard drill, cordless drill, and I run brass wires, and I'm going to try and get most of this out. All these other blems I'm going to take out of here. You got a big gouge here I didn't even see until I started sanding it. So we have that, and we'll take this thing a little further with the 150, hit it with the wire wheel, and I'll show you where I'm at. Okay, so we have our piece. As you can see, these are starting to disappear, and I'm still on 150 because it was just so ugly. And what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to step it up to 220, and you can see it's scratched up pretty bad on the surface. The 150 is pretty brutal. Also, as another note that I must tell you guys, I wear nitrile gloves and a respirator when I sand aluminum, and I highly recommend you do that because the stuff will collect on your brain and you'll have Alzheimer's from it. Be careful with this stuff. So let's step this up to 220 and see what we can do. Maybe we can get rid of these, maybe not. But we have several stages yet. We've got 220, 300, 400, 600, 1000, and then I polish. So let's see what we get. When I get to the 220, it's really starting to become satisfying. If you look, now I apologize for the shadow. If you look, you can see there's still this area here, and we have some scratch left, but this scratch has disappeared. And I apologize for the noise, I'm on a metal chair, but we've got some small blips in it here yet, but it's not too bad. So what I'm going to do, I have a jet polishing wheel, is sand a little bit more, and then I'm going to run it over the polisher, do a preliminary, and let's take a look and see what we have when that's completed. Okay, so we have taken our part, and I've run it over the polisher with a rough polish, and I'm thinking I got to do a little bit more sanding. You see that scratch right there? There's a little indentation there. Most of the other blums are disappearing, but I'm going to hit it one more time with the 220, and then, and I know I didn't mention this, but I take a lot of these on a case-by-case basis. I'm gonna run a Brillo pad over it. So let's see what happens after we do another shot of 220 and a Brillo pad. Okay, so here we are. I am done with 220. It's time to step up to 300. It's starting to look pretty good. You see this little imperfection here now. And there's a slight scratch there, a little bit there. But she is really starting to come around. Quite a bit of improvement. So let's take it one step further. Let's go up to 300. Well, all right, the 300 is complete, and I got to tell you, there is just the smallest little imperfection right there. It appears that everything else is gone now, and we are rocking and rolling. So let's step this thing up to 400 and see what she's going to look like. Okay, guys, well, I owe you an apology. I kind of screwed up. I did the 400 and 600 on this thing, not knowing. We're coming around the mountain. I took some mothers and just put a dab on my finger, smeared it around, and like buffed the face a little bit by hand. You know, you're seeing some scratching in there, obviously, but not a lot. Getting pretty happy about this thing. Starting to look really good, so let's go ahead and take this thing up to 1,000. I'm going to sand this thing with 1,000 and then polish it. Well, all right, this is our 1,000 grit sanding with a very quick hit with the buffer, and you can see she's dressing up. You can see I just buffed the face just real quickly, and just ran a hand buff on it with some others. But you can see she's really coming around now. Quite a difference from the introductory video here. So now we're off to the final buffing on this thing, and we'll show you the results. All right, so we've completed all of our sanding, and this is where we get down to brass tacks. Before that, any of the pre-buffing I use white diamond, just FYI. And in my final stuff, I use Mothers, straight up Mothers, mag and aluminum polish. So what I'm going to do is we've got our piece that's been sanded with 1,000. We're going to run the hard wheel on it for quite a while, do a nice run on it. Then secondly, I'll use a hand drill. And then in the final, I will actually hand buff this part. So let's go ahead and run this thing on the wheel, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I started with the finer wheel, and this is my preference. So yes, I have a jet polisher for the initial breakdown, you know, when I'm really hammering it. But you can do this type of work with this. This is a Metabo drill with a polishing wheel. This is actually my preference. This is what I really like, and this is all I'm going to do. I'll lay it down for you. Edge work here. That's what I'm doing. This is phase 2. did the first step, which is running it on my jet polisher, which you could get a fairly abrasive wheel and do it yourself on a bench grinder. They're fast, believe me, they're fast enough. Then I use the hand drill, and now we're down to the actual, we're hand polishing. This is by far, and I have to tell you, it's probably my least favorite part because it's a good hour. But I got to tell you, I don't know exactly how this works or why it works so well, but I have not been able to replicate the quality of finalizing everything with a hand polish. It just doesn't work. Here, I'll take this little sectional for you. Give you an idea before we show you the final. Look at that. Look at that thing. I mean, that's coming around like, I'll clean it a little bit more here. But yeah, you can see it right there. I mean, that's like a mirror. And it's due to this hand polish. But what I wanted to tell you guys while I was finishing rubbing this thing is do sand your aluminum. I see these videos on YouTube where they say don't sand your pieces. Yes, learn how to sand it. My recommendation is that you get a part that's not very important to you to start with. Buy something at a swap meet for $1, an aluminum part, and polish it. And learn how to sand. The polishing is not the difficult part here. The sanding is what separates the job. You must know when to sand, what grit to use, and it takes a little time. It takes a little practice to do these things. Now, you could always sand up, meaning if you think that you need to sand, start sanding with 220, you've got some heavy oxidation, you could always start with 400 and sand that way. And that is the key. Your sanding will be the key to your job. And when we come back here, I'll show you what this thing looks like in its finished state. Here we are. We've got our final finished product. We've taken a cover that was gouged up severely and would be used for like a woods bike, for example. Somebody would put it on their bike for a rider, and we've turned it into a showpiece here. And she's beautiful. And like I say, learn how to sand and then polish. But regardless, I'm going to be posting more content here as time goes on. We'll try and post something every weekend. So if you like what you see, like, subscribe, share it with everybody, and thank you for watching.